It was a magical summer. Noah was a country boy. Allie was from the city.
Will you go out with me?
No!
No?
No, I want to!
Say it again.
I want to go out with you!
They fell in love, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
He's a nice boy, but he is not for you.
How's about that date?
I want you for myself.
Marry me.
Who did you choose?
Why didn't you write me? I waited for you for 7 years.
I read to her, and she remembers.
The Notebook.
Thank you for clicking on my video. Welcome to the Chats and Chill channel. I'm your host, SharionSade, and this week we're going to be recapping The Notebook. You can't really talk about romantic movies without talking about The Notebook. It's regarded as one of the best ever. So many people consider The Notebook their favorite romance movie, and honestly, I can see why. I read the book before I saw the movie. I was in high school, and I was swept up in the story. But when revisiting the movie in my 30s, it's really hard for me to fall into the story, I'm not going to lie. Noah or Lon, who should Allie choose? For me, while I love Ryan Gosling, if you have an option to choose James Marsden for anything, always choose James Marsden. You will never go wrong choosing James Marsden. But that's just me. My opinion is not the end all be all. We've got a lot to get into, so let's get started. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So we open up The Notebook at a senior living facility, and it is a beautiful facility. It is more so a house. It's on the water. It's clearly in the South. It is gorgeous. So the story opens up with an older gentleman who lives at the senior living facility, and his name is Duke. He is a very chipper person, and he's very popular as he's walking through the halls, and shall I say bouncing through the halls. He is clearly having a really great day, and he is being greeted by nurses, orderlies, other patients. He went to take his morning vitamins. He said it was going to be a good day, and the orderly said, "You say that every day." We then follow Duke into a room with an older woman. Duke is holding a book, and the nurse turns to the woman and says, "Hey, would you like to read with Noah? He comes and he reads to you, and you'll like him because he's very funny." And the woman doesn't really recognize Noah, but once the nurse tells her that he's funny and that she should let him read to her, she agrees, and they go into this gorgeous, gorgeous sunroom. Oh my goodness, there are just some things that the South is so charming in some ways, and the homes on the water are definitely some of those ways. Some of the houses in Louisiana take my breath away. And Noah pulls out the book, but it's actually a journal. Now, when the nurse said that Noah reads to this woman, I expected a nice leather-bound book or maybe even a paperback, but no, it is just a journal. And when he opens the book, he says, "Now, where did I leave off?" So it's clear he reads to this woman quite often, but she didn't recognize him. And this is a really clever way for the movie to let us know that this woman struggles with her memory. And so clearly they have some kind of rapport that Duke recognizes, but the woman does not. The actual story we're going to be living in this film is the story from the book that he is reading this woman. Kind of clever. I like that. The story opens up June 6th, 1940 at a carnival. And as Noah and Finn are hanging out at the bumper cars waiting on Sarah, who is Finn's girlfriend, Noah actually sees Sarah's friend, Allie, doing the bumper cars with her. Now, this is a thing that they did in The Wedding Crashers as well. Once Noah sees Allie for the first time, played by Rachel McAdams, everything slows down. And that's to let the audience know that she's special to him, or she caught his eye, or there's something special about her. And she is having the time of her life, and she just seems fun and carefree. And Finn lets Noah know her father is extremely rich. I don't know why Noah needed to know that, but he still told him. So now I don't know if Noah was a gold digger. We'll see. He walks right up to her and he says, "Hey, would you like to dance with me?" Now, where are they going to be dancing at the carnival? Maybe in 1940 they danced at carnivals, but the carnivals in my town, when I was growing up in the early 2000s and in the late 90s, we didn't dance at carnivals. We just ate and played games and rode rides. But who knows what they were doing in 1940? It was a very different time. She says no, just outright no. And he says, "Why not?" And she goes, "Because I don't want to." I love Allie. Immediately, I love Allie. First of all, I really like Rachel McAdams. So pretty much any character she plays, I'm probably going to be rooting for that character. But I love a self-assured woman. And so she says no, and I don't want to. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people consider this to be brash or rude or whatever, but I'm actually of the belief that clarity is kindness. You don't do anyone any favors by stringing people along, and you have a right to say what you do and don't want. He asked a question, and she had a right to answer honestly, and she did. Now, I wish he had respected her no. It's really hard to root for Noah because he does not respect her. When she says no, he sees that as a negotiable. No is a full sentence and it is a firm no. And she reiterates that no several times. And I hate how her friends kind of sell her up the river and ambush her to go out with this guy. Now, we do know they eventually fall in love. Spoiler alert for a 21-year-old movie. We do know they fall in love and live happily ever after, but that should have been her choice. Anyway, so the guys surrounding Allie have to teach Noah a little bit about consent. They're like, hey, Noah, she's with us. Calm down. So another guy comes into the frame and he says, Allie, would you like to ride the Ferris wheel? And she said, I'd love to. And they skip off to the Ferris wheel. Noah is not going to take this lying down. Now, it's very clear Noah is from this town and Allie is just visiting. And she seems to be like a hot commodity. She is very much Bella Swan moving to Forks. Everybody wants a piece of Allie. People are surrounding Allie. They go up and they're in their cart. Noah jumps into their cart with them and sits in the middle of them. See, that's why it's hard for me to go and root for Noah. He's played by Ryan Gosling, so he wins some extra points for me, but I genuinely dislike this. The operator says, you know, there's only 2 people to a car, Noah. I know it's because the movie wanted this scene, but it makes 0 sense for him to stop the ride while they're in the air and tell him to get out of the car. Why wouldn't he just wait till it came back down? That is something that bothers me so much. Noah gets out and he decides to hang from one of the bars on the Ferris wheel. And he asks Allie out again and she says no. And he says, why not? She says, because I don't want to. They're all like, Noah, stop, get down, because it is very dangerous. It does not look like a safe game to be playing. And so when she says no, he takes one arm off and he's now hanging by one arm. And so everybody is freaking out. And then finally, Finn and Sarah are like, Allie, just say you'll go out with him. Just go out with him. And so she says, fine, I'll go out with you. And so Noah goes, don't do me any favors. And she goes, no, I want to go out with you. And her date, clearly seeing everything that's going on.
No, I want to.
You want it?
Yes.
You want it. Say it.
I want to go out with you.
Say it again.
I want to go out with you.
Still looks at her and says, you do? And she's like, yes, fool. Look at what's happening. I don't want the fool to die. Like, he not that bright, Allie. Get out the car with him. He seemed kind of weird. He's so insecure, he's stupid. Now that was funny, but no. If you have to coerce somebody into doing anything, don't. And so everybody is relieved, but now everybody's kind of laughing. And Sarah, Allie's friend, is like, Noah, you shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And Allie goes, oh, no, it's okay. I'm fine.
Idiot. Oh, it's okay. I'll take care of this.
I can't believe it.
You're not so cocky now, are you?
I'm gonna get you, sir.
Oh, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Oh, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Oh, maybe you will, maybe you won't.
Good for Allie. I like Allie. She is headstrong. You are not about to bully me. I love that Allie got her agency back. Now, she saved his life, but she took her agency back. Now, what I would have loved to have seen is how he actually got down from there. Did he get back in the car with the people he just coerced into a date? I need to know, but we don't get to see that. So then we skip to a couple of days later when Noah is in town and he happens to see Allie leaving a store. So he goes over to her and he reminds her like, hey, you said you wanted to go on a date. And she said no again. And he's like, you know, I know you didn't get the best impression of me, but I promise I'm not like that all the time. But when I saw you, I just had to have you.
You don't know me, but I know me. When I see something that I like, oh God, I love it. I go crazy for it.
What are you talking about?
Everything about his speech is terrifying. It is terrifying. Like, I get it because he's in love, but she does not know Noah. Imagine a strange man doing what Noah did at the carnival, showing a complete disregard for your boundaries and his own life. And then later catching you in the street and saying, when I see something I want, I gotta have it. Sir, do you know how many stalkers began with sentences just like that, with belief systems just like that? Noah is crazy as hell, and he never would have gotten a date from me. That was what Allie intended if it hadn't been for her backstabbing friends. And then we cut to a scene of Noah and Finn walking down the sidewalk, and they're headed to the show, which is the theater. Who's standing there waiting for them? Sarah and Allie. It's clear Allie had no idea Noah would be there, and she does not look too pleased. As a matter of fact, in the theater, she doesn't sit with him. She sits by herself. And then Noah makes his way over to her. Now, again, we know that it turns out well, but this movie pushes such an odd and dangerous narrative. If someone says no, don't dust yourself off and try again. That only works with opportunities for like job and education and skills and things like that. But when it comes to people who have autonomy and agency, they have a right to say no, and that no should be respected. At some point, they kind of connect during the movie, and she kind of gets an idea like, okay, he's not so bad. And she actually starts to kind of like him. So when they're leaving, Finn and Sarah are hopping into Sarah's car, and they're expecting Allie and Noah to get in the back. But Allie actually says, you know what, we're going to walk together, alone. They want to spend more time together. But this time, Allie wants to, and that's why it's okay. Had Noah not done all this and simply gone up to her like a human being, this could have happened without all the hoopla. So they walk, and as they're walking, they're getting to know each other. It's clear that Allie, coming from a very rich family in high society, her whole life is pretty much planned out. She has a very good education, and she's about to go to college, and she's a very accomplished woman at such a young age, and her parents pretty much make every decision for her. And Noah, coming from this very small town with a limited amount of money, and he doesn't come from a whole lot. He and his dad are very close. I believe his mother passed away. He doesn't have any siblings, and they are poor, but they are very, very happy people. He doesn't have the same type of life as Allie, where everything is mapped out. He actually works at the lumber yard. And so as they're walking and getting to know each other, they're connecting. At one point, they dance in the street, and it's clear that Noah kind of helps Allie to like be a little bit more free, because in her real life, it seems like she doesn't have that option. And as a matter of fact, we see her as well as Noah around her parents, and her mom makes the comment like she's got too much spirit for a girl her age. Like she's gonna have to calm down. And her dad is like, it's okay, she's young, let her have her fun for now. I'm actually more inclined to lean into the dad, but I understand the mom. I think there is room for balance between the both of them. A lot of times people who talk about this movie, they demonize and vilify the mom, and I am actually pro mom. I think her delivery and her tactics sucked, and that's the problem I have with how she acted out. However, I actually understand her perspective. It still should have been Allie's choice, but I do understand her perspective, and I actually agree with it. But that's neither here nor there. And we do have a little turnaround at the end of the movie. They walk together, and clearly this goes well, and they fall in love. We then see a compilation of scenes from all these activities they're doing together. I mean, they are hot and heavy. They are kissing. They're eating ice cream off each other. They're jumping in the water. He teaches her to drive. Clearly, they are having a lot of fun. The epic scene, if I'm a bird, you're a bird. I actually genuinely dislike that scene so much. I don't know if it's just me. It's just too ridiculous for me. Like, I'm all for romance. I love romance, but that just feels so cheesy and unrealistic, and I just can't get into it. But I'm not a flighty person by any means. I love being in love, and I love falling in love, and I love all the frills. But something about that I'm a bird, you're a bird scene gets under my skin. I am such a cynic when it comes to that scene. I skip it every time. I get it, it's cute and all, but it just get on my nerves. She is enjoying his dad. They have a party at one point where she's invited, and she's just having fun with them at the party. And she invites Noah into her world along with Sarah and Finn, and they're having a dinner party where everyone is wearing all white. Noah didn't get the memo. I didn't gather whether that was on purpose or was he the guest of honor so that they could get to know Noah and he was asked to wear something different to stand out. I don't know, but it just seemed like because he was poor, he might not have had anything white a long time. I do know at some point wearing white was seen as a privilege, because if you're wearing white, that means you don't work outdoors or in some kind of service-oriented role. You probably are well-to-do, so you're not expected to get dirty. So wearing white is kind of like a virtue signal that you have money or wealth. And so everyone else at this table is wearing white, including Sarah and Finn, but not Noah. And I didn't gather that Sarah and Finn were rich. So maybe he just missed the memo or it was intentional. The mom is sussing out Noah. He is dating her baby girl, and to my knowledge, her only child. And she wants to make sure her child is in good hands. Now, Allie is 17. She's about to go to college. This is a very integral time for her. She doesn't have time for a lot of distractions, and this is essentially her last free summer as a child. And so her mom is asking Noah questions, and Noah is not ashamed of himself. He knows where he comes from. He knows what he's all about, and money does not make or break him. It actually makes people more endeared to him. And it definitely seemed like that stood out to Allie's dad. He seemed like he had a little respect for Noah for being like, I don't make much, but I don't need much. But then her mother drops the bomb in front of everyone that they decided that Allie will be going to Sarah Lawrence.
But Allie's going to Sarah Lawrence. And Sarah Lawrence is in New York.
See, the mom is trying to break them up. Again, I don't agree with her tactics. What she is doing is screwed up, but I do understand. He probably already feels out of place. So to make him uncomfortable, that's not cool. Don't do that. Don't invite people to anything if you don't really want them there and you're not going to enjoy their company. After the dinner party, Allie and Noah are swimming in the lake or the river or whatever, and they're having the time of their lives. And Allie's parents are watching. And the mom is like, she's got too much spirit. She's got to get serious. She's got a future ahead of her. And the dad is like, let her have her fun. This is actually not an uncommon dynamic, and you don't even have to be rich. A lot of times dads coddle their daughters, but mothers know what the world is really like. And so their goal is to prepare their daughters. And so a lot of times dads don't actually recognize how much the world puts on girls and women. And so as a mom, knowing what you went through, you want to set your child up, especially your daughter, who you will have a similar experience to. You want to set her up for every advantage she can possibly have. And so she's just trying to make sure Allie fares well in the world. I'd left out one more consideration. In this situation, they're in the 40s. The mom is married, and she clearly married into wealth, likely coming from wealth. And she knows what lies ahead for Allie as a woman with limited means and limited agency out in the world. Very little rights when it comes to government, very little rights when it comes to education and jobs that she can have at that time. There was a lot of work to be done, and this is pre-civil rights era. And so in her mind, she's preparing Allie, but also she probably wants Allie to take advantage of the opportunities that she has, because considering they're about 20 years removed from when her mom was that age, she likely didn't have the same options and opportunities that Allie has now, because time has progressed, things have progressed, and rights have progressed in that 20-year span. Even if just a little bit, she likely hasn't seen this much progress for women at that point up until that time. A lot of women, a lot of white women back in those days, not everyone, but it was a trend for white women to go to college to meet their husband. And college was a place where you could meet someone who was of status and wealth, etc. So they sent their daughters to essentially meet a man. But there was a lot of reasons why the mother wanted Allie to take advantage of her opportunities and not get distracted by a boy. And although this was in the 40s and these are completely different people, those issues still reign supreme now. If you have opportunities, pursue your opportunities. Life will unfold in the way that it's going to unfold, but don't make decisions based on other people. Make decisions based on you and what you want to pursue. But that's neither here nor there to offer. The dad, coming from a place of privilege, and I mean that extreme privilege as a male, as a white male, and as a very rich white male, he has no idea what may or may not be in store for Allie if she doesn't set her head straight, especially in the 40s. There was a lot at stake for women. And so I do understand the mom. She's operating out of one, fear, which is not always the best, but also love. Protection is an expression of love. And sometimes parents, they express their love to their children by doing everything they can to protect them, even from their own choices. But there is room for balance. And so that's what I actually dislike about her tactics, is because they remove Allie's agency, but she does make it right later down the road. And then he decides one night to take her to his dream house. It's this old, abandoned, decrepit home that's probably been condemned. And he walks around and he tells her about his dream of renovating it and living there one day. And she loves it. And as they're talking, she is clearly seeing herself in this future vision as well. And so she's walking through the house. They find a piano. Like, there's so much here. And she's talking about all the things that she would love. And when he says he wants to paint the house white, she says white with blue shutters. And so he remembers that, and it comes up later. As they're walking around the house, they start kissing again. They get hot and heavy, and Allie initiates having sex. What's never really been clear for me was, did they actually have sex or did they just try? I've never really understood what was going on in that scene, because while they were both completely disrobed and they were in position and it seemed like they had begun, I've never really been able to tell, because she is freaking out the whole time and she's very nervous, and he stops and she apologizes, which you shouldn't have to apologize for that. He wasn't asking for that. But in the book, they do have sex. So I'm just going to assume that he took her virginity, and I believe she took his. I'm not sure. Anyway.
All this time, that's what I've been missing.
It's then that Finn runs into this house. And he tells Noah, hey, Allie's parents have the police looking for her. They're scared. You need to take her home. And so they go home. Allie goes in and talks to her parents. Now, wait, let me tell you, the way Allie ran up in this house, I'm just going to say this. Allie is bold. You can tell she's been rich a long time. And her dad has probably backed her up for a long time, because the way she walked up in that house and looked at her parents, my mama would have knocked my head off. I wouldn't have had eyes to look at them like that no more. My mama would have knocked my eyes on the ground and stepped on them. I can't even imagine looking at my mama knowing I'm in the wrong at that. Like, I can't imagine being wrong already, scaring the shit out of my parents, and then walking up to them and being like, oh yeah, I did it. What's up? Like, hell no, they would have jumped me. Like, my parents are really big on like physical punishment. Like, they run their mouth and all, but I didn't really get a lot of spankings. I only got spankings when I did some egregious shit. And I had my times. But I don't know how my parents would react, but I genuinely feel like if I walked up in the house after scaring them like that, and I looked at them the way Allie looked at them and like, let's go talk, I feel like that would have been the first time my parents jumped somebody. And I feel like it would have been me. I feel like Allie bold as hell. Something I dislike about this scene, but it makes sense for the 40s. The mom and the daughter almost have equal footing with the dad, and they're pleading their case to him as he sits at a desk like a judge.
Don't touch me.
No, it's not final.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not final. You're not going to tell me who I'm going to love.
Yes, Daddy, I love him. I love him.
And I feel like this is intentional because it's very clear that in this time period, women don't have a whole lot of rights. There's not a lot of independence that's encouraged with women. And I feel like the mom knows what it's like to essentially be one step behind her husband, especially a husband who has money. And I feel like there's like a level playing field between them, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I do think it's indicative of the times, and it makes complete sense. I just still don't like it. I feel like if the mom was speaking, Allie should have shut her mouth. I feel like Allie should have had an opportunity to say what she needed to say without being interrupted. But I do think as parents, they should have been a united front. Either the two of them are sitting down and Allie is talking to them, or they're standing up and Allie is sitting. But it should have been the parents, then Allie, not Allie and her mom for the dad. It just felt like they're both children. It felt like it was infantilizing to the mom. It also seems that way in a few other scenes, like how he shuts her up at the dinner party, even though she was being rude. The way he shuts her down in front of everyone, the way that he essentially puts her on equal footing with her daughter, I don't care for it. And I feel like it has a lot to do with what happens at the end of the movie. I think these subtle signs show us that the mom doesn't have a whole lot of agency in her household. She has a lot of opinions, but I don't think she has a lot of power. She pleads her case. She tells her parents that she loves Noah and she want to be with Noah and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, it's not realistic, girl. You have a whole life ahead of you and you two are not meant to be together. And the mom actually goes as far as to say he is trash, trash, trash. Oh my gosh, I hate this scene so much. Noah hears this and he just quietly leaves. Now, Noah is a very proud man, but he's not filled with pride, if that makes sense. Like, he's not haughty. He doesn't have an ego, but he is a proud person and he knows who he is. He doesn't need money to think highly of himself. And I love his character for that. And so he leaves. And I think he recognizes, like, while what they're saying is messed up, they're not exactly wrong. We are from two different worlds and I can never give her all of this. So why am I wasting her time? And I do feel like it was a heartbreak for him. I don't feel like that. It was clear that it was a heartbreak for him, but he knew it was necessary and it was a sacrifice. Again, another form of love. Allie is a very loved person. Both of them are. They're very loved people. And both of their parents have several expressions of love towards them, even if it's not immediately noticeable. They are both very loved and covered people. And so it makes sense that they fell in love and they were very much expressive with one another because they both came from love, poor and rich. And I think that's a good thing that the movie and the book show, is that you don't have to have money to be fulfilled. And she goes to Noah and they're crying and they're like processing everything. And she's apologizing and for what he heard. And he's like, you know what? It's fine. It's okay. And he breaks up with her. He lets her know, like, he agrees, like, you have a whole life to get to. And she is devastated. She's like, you're breaking up with me? Now she starts hitting him. I get that she's a 17-year-old emotional person, but girl, and she probably just lost her virginity to the man who is now breaking up with her hours later. But you still can't hit people. And he de-escalates this hitting by hitting himself and taking the power away from her. And so she's frustrated and they are going back and forth. And so he realizes what he has to do. He's disrupting her life and possibly her destiny. And he doesn't want to do that. And in the ultimate expression of love, sacrifice, Noah recognizes that despite what he wants and possibly even needs, which is Allie, he knew that it was not what was best for her. And he breaks up with her.
No! No, just wait a minute. We're not really breaking up, are we?
He allows himself to play the bad guy so that he can do what's best for her. And she is devastated. And he drives away and she is a puddle of tears. Oh, she is hurt. And it's a few weeks before their summer trip is supposed to be over. And she goes downstairs. Clearly, she has been crying all night. Allie looks a mess. She walks into the dining area and the mom basically says, hey, go ahead and start packing. We're leaving today. And Allie is like, no. We're supposed to be here a few more weeks. And she's like, no, we're going to go home today. And so Allie freaks out and she drives to Noah's job to tell him, and he's not there. Well, when Noah returns back to work, Finn tells him that Allie is leaving and she came by to see him, and Noah leaves work. Now, Noah, you already poor child. Don't try to lose your job. But anyway, he gets in his car, he goes to Allie's house, but it's too late. She's already gone. For the full year to the day, he wrote her a letter every single day and mailed it to her house. And he waited and waited and waited and waited for a reply, and he never got one. So Allie never got his letters. They were being intercepted by her mother. And in her third year of college, when she was a junior, she decided to volunteer as a nurse for war veterans. And she's taking care of people, and she meets one of the people who is badly banged up. You can't even see his face. And he asks her for a date, and she says, you got to get better first. You'll be fine. And so she kind of dismisses it, and it probably happens a lot. Allie is beautiful. And one day, there is this gorgeous gentleman. I don't even think you could just call him a gentleman anymore. I think we need a new name for James Marsden, because James Marsden is otherworldly beautiful. James Marsden is handsome as hell. I have loved James Marsden since Sugar and Spice. If you know, you know. I have loved him my whole life. He is one of the most handsome men I have ever seen in films.
That's me. That's me.
Standing there against this beautiful drop top car. And Allie's walking by with her friends, and he says, hello, miss. I'd like that date now. And it's the guy that she had taken care of. And so she goes on a date, and we find out they fall in love, like head over heels in love. And we see a compilation of them just enjoying their life. Now, on the other side of the world, or just a few states away, we see Noah. He and Finn enlisted in the army. He went to war. Finn died. He came back, and his dad sold his home. Along with Noah's GI Bill, they decided to go in together and buy Noah's dream home and fix it up together. And so one day, while Noah was headed into town to get some plans for renovation approved, he saw Allie. He jumps off of a moving bus to catch Allie. He chases her down the street, and he finally finds her, and he looks through the window of a restaurant, and she's meeting Lon Hammond, her boyfriend. And we see them kiss, and Noah is heartbroken. He gets his plans approved. He goes back home, and he and his dad renovate the house. But the movie lets us know that Noah snapped. He lost it. He was completely motivated to get this house finished. And in his mind, if he could finish this house, then Allie would come back to him. And I actually don't mind that concept, because it was something that they connected over. But if you see that she's happy with someone else, baby, let her go. There's 1,000,001 women out there for you. You can meet somebody else. But anyway, they're destined, so we're just gonna go with it. They renovate the home, and his father passes away. So now it's just him and his house. No dad, no Allie, no Finn. Now, he does mess around with this woman named Martha, but she's a war widow from another town, and they just sleep together, and he has zero regard for this woman. Again, don't mess with people if you don't like them. Don't date them. Don't be around them. But he clearly just sleeps with her. Anytime she talks about going out in the daylight, he is not interested at all. And he's not even kind about his rejection. He's just like, no, 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 no. He's just not into it. And so it's kind of awkward. And I'm like, Martha, girl, there's got to be somebody better. Martha, there's somebody else out there. Don't be messing with this old half-dead man. Back in Allie's world, she and Lon and her parents are having a wonderful time. They absolutely approve of Lon. And Lon's family comes from old money, from cotton in the South. Where y'all get y'all money, Lon? Anyway. But now Lon has lost all the points with me. So he proposes to Allie. The moment she says yes, she thought of Noah. Now, I'm going to say this. When my husband proposed to me, I thought of him and him only. I didn't think about nothing else. Immediately after we sat down to eat, and I had twin lobster tails, and I was thinking about them. But when I finished thinking about them, I went back to thinking about my husband. As a matter of fact, I didn't even realize I dated anybody before my husband. It's all a refresh. It didn't happen. If you didn't end up in marriage, then it didn't happen. You get a fresh slate. Move on. Let it go. One of the many reasons I am grateful that I have lived my life as a late bloomer is because I was able to go through things in a time frame in which I could process them. I also was able to make the choice on my own. My parents didn't make the choice for me. So that's probably a bigger reason why. And I wasn't 17 years old. And so one day, while she and her bridesmaids and her mom are looking at her wedding gown and planning her wedding, and they're all super excited, her mom opens up the newspaper and happens to see a write-up about Noah and this incredible house that he renovated and built. Allie sees Noah in the paper and faints. passes right on out in her wedding dress. So then Allie gets the idea that she wants to visit this little town where she first met Noah, and she wants to do some shopping and just kind of revisit some friends. And she's essentially going on a little getaway. Now, Lon kind of picks up on like, this is kind of odd behavior.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, then go. Look, it's okay to be nervous.
He is willing to drop everything for her. So clearly, not only is she in love with him, but he is absolutely in love with her. Not only is he wealthy, but he's a good person. And you rarely see that in movies. They really made him the dream guy. They really did, outside of the way his family got their wealth. But Lon actually does work. So we're just going to attribute his wealth to him. We're just going to ignore what his family did, just for this. Now, anyway, she decides to go. She gets all dolled up. And she goes to Noah's house and she just drives up. No call, no warning. She just pulls up into the driveway and he's on the porch. He comes out on the porch and he sees her. And it's almost like he cannot believe she's there because he has probably imagined this moment 1,000,001 times. And he probably never imagined it would be in his front yard. He probably assumed he would go see her or they would see each other somewhere else. And so she's standing there and she doesn't know what to say either. Like they're both kind of stunned because like she went there and she was all nerved up. When she arrived, she probably got hit with realism. Like, oh shit, this is actually happening. This isn't in my head anymore. And so she's stunned, he's stunned. And so she mutters out a couple of words like, hey, I just wanted to come by and see if you were okay. Are you okay? And he is just stunned. And she takes that essentially as like he wasn't interested in seeing her. She kind of panics and she was like, I shouldn't have come here. I'm a stupid, stupid woman. And we later hear her mom say the same thing. So clearly she is a chip off the old block. And so she gets in her car and tries to drive away, but she runs into his fence. The car shuts off and it won't turn over when she's trying to crank it. And so then he gathers himself and he goes to her and he was like, do you want to come inside? And she says yes. And they talk and they catch up and she shares with him that she's engaged. And he says, well, that's that. Like, it's almost like he just put a pin in it. And he was like, okay, I guess that's the end of that chapter. I won't find my true love. I won't have my true love. That's fine. I'll let it go. And so they're talking and they're having fun and they are really reconnecting and they've just gotten back to that old rapport. They leave on such positive terms. So then the next day she comes back and they go out on the boat and he shows her all these amazing swans and it's just a beautiful, beautiful sight. And she is having the time of her life. And I do feel like this is supposed to be a callback to something that he did with her when they were young, but the movie doesn't show it, but there are deleted scenes of them as the young versions of Noah and Allie doing the same thing, but it got cut in the movie for some reason, but it doesn't really need it as a callback. We can assume that's something he used to do with her, but I don't know, but I saw deleted scenes that implied that that was supposed to be a callback. So anyway, they're out there and it starts to rain and it's almost like the rain washes away the pleasantries. It washes away like the politeness because as they kind of try to rush in from this rain, Allie finally just gets her nerve up and is like, why didn't you ever write me? Why didn't you reach out to me? And he's like, excuse me? I wrote you every day for a year. They get into this heated exchange where they finally just get so passionate. Basically everything they've been like pent up since the last time they saw each other, they just let it all out. They kiss and then they have sex. Now, I don't know how far the dock is where the boat is kept from the house, but it looks like it's a long walk. It looks like a good, I don't know, maybe 40 yards perhaps. And so are we to assume that they kissed the whole way up the hill and into the house? They were passionate. Do you hear me? Oh shit. So anyway, this scene is awfully quiet. I don't know why. I feel like they should have had background music that was just a little bit louder because it was such a quiet scene, but I do think that was intentional so you could hear the rain. I don't know. And then they spend the rest of the weekend together and just spend more days together. He sets up a painting room for her, knowing that she loves to paint exactly the way she said she wanted it when she imagined herself in the home. And then he left to get items for breakfast. She woke up butt-ass naked, wrapped herself in a little red blanket, and went outside to paint. And she heard a knock at the door. So she goes downstairs. Ma'am, you are not at home. Why are you answering this man's door? And why are you answering this man's door nakedly? And so Allie comes downstairs and opens the door and sees her mom. And her face is stunned. She might be more stunned seeing her mama stand here than she was to see Noah. But she immediately gets back into that defiant teenager role. Now, every other scene we've seen her with her mother when she's dating Lon, she's mature, she's intelligent, she's smart, they're getting along, they have a loving relationship. But now that she's back with Noah, it's like it brought up all those old feelings and she reverts right back to a child state immediately. And it's also part of her being defensive, turning into a child because she knows she's wrong. So she gets defensive before her mother even says anything. She also starts to argue with her mother from an assumptive place. She's made all these assumptions about what her mother is going to say, how her mother feels. And to be fair, it's easy to imagine that her mom was coming there to reprimand her because of how her mother behaved when she dated Noah in the past. And she knows how her mother feels about Noah, or so she thinks. And so they sit on the porch. This exchange is so funny because these two play mother and daughter so well.
You came down here. You knew what you were doing. You knew this would happen.
Oh, so now I'm a tramp. You are unbelievable. Let's take a drive. Why would I want to go anywhere with you?
Because I might know you a little better than you think. And I don't want you waking up one morning thinking that if you'd known everything, you might have done something different.
The way they depicted that angst between mom and daughter, and how the mom is essentially like, I'm trying to steer you into a happy, healthy life. Let me help you. And the daughter is like, you don't understand me. You don't get me, mom. Let me go, mom. And like, the mom is like, girl, I get it. Come with me. Allie is still butt-ass naked, wrapped up in this blanket. And that might be the funniest part to me about them sitting here having this conversation, because Miss Allie is naked. The way I would have had to tell my mama, wait here, I'm gonna go put on some clothes and come back down like I got some sense. First of all, my mom would never catch me in this predicament. But her mother lets her know, like, Lon worried when he couldn't reach you at the hotel. And so he's on his way here. And your dad told Lon about Noah. Now we see who the real ally was. The mother was the real ally the whole time. The daddy is fake as hell. Because let me say this, while Allie was wrong as the day is long for cheating on her fiance, wrong. If you're not ready to do something, just don't do it. Don't cheat, break up. The dad telling Lon, no matter how much you like Lon, that's how you know. See, bro code even extends beyond family. Misogyny begets misogyny. He told his daughter's fiance about his daughter's first love. You are her dad. If she was cheating, that's still not for you to share. That's for you to call her and say, hey, stop. I don't want no part of your games. But to tell her fiance, that is not your place to do. I just genuinely dislike that. Now, yes, if I were the dad, I'm not keeping nobody's secrets either, but I would have just stayed out of it. And if I'd said anything, it would have just been to my daughter. I wouldn't have told my daughter's fiance that she was cheating on him. That part run me hot. And I would have loved to see the conversation between the mother and the husband after that little phone call, because I know the mom doing what she chose to do, she was not in agreement with that. Anyway, I'm sure she chewed his ass out. I'm sure she was the one sitting at the desk this time. But anyway, so she goes to intercept Allie and get her back to the hotel looking kind of decent before Lon gets there, to at least help preserve the theory that she's all right, that she wasn't out here doing God knows what with God knows whom. And so, well, we know whom. Noah. She and Allie drive out to this work site, and she points out this handsome gentleman who's like lifting materials and looking good while he does it, by the way. And she tells Allie, like, once upon a time, 25 years ago, he was the love of my life. And Allie realizes, like, everything she misunderstood about her mom was actually her mom trying to protect her from having the same outcome she was having. So essentially, when her mom was trying to derail her relationship with Noah in the beginning, it was so that it wouldn't get to this point where Allie felt like he was her long lost love, that she was attached to him. She wanted Allie to attach to someone who could provide her with not only love, but with money and status and all of the things that would protect her in this world as a woman. And it makes sense why she wanted to cut it off early, because she knew what it was like to cut off late after you've already made that attachment. And it's clear that attachment is not gone, because as she's talking about this man, she is crying. And the way I would react if my husband was somewhere crying about an ex 25 years later and telling our kids about it, the way I would have been like, okay, you can go back to the heifer and tell her to wipe your tears, and don't take my Kleenex. She better be able to provide Kleenex, and leave all them clothes here because I bought them. And see, that's why I couldn't have been born in that time period, because I would have been pissed. Mr. Calhoun should have been pissed, but he doesn't know. And it turns out Mrs. Calhoun, Allie's mom, she drives out there quite often and looks at this man.
I put myself in a dangerous situation to come here. But this is a danger zone.
Now, I want to know what that's like from the man's perspective, because he probably has like a wife and kids and maybe even some grandkids by now. And he go to work every day. And I'm sure he go home and tell his wife, like, girl, you know, my ex from 25 years ago, that haven't been stalking me at work. Like, I don't know what she gets out of it. Like, I would have confronted her, like, can you stop coming to my job? Yes, you ended up rich, but I'm still poor.
What? I'm not looking over there, man.
Look at our circumstances, man. Look where we from. I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
So I'm broke. That car that I'm ducking and dodging with, because I'm running from the repo man, and my car sitting in my best friend's garage. I was an extra and walked the world. Right now I got 3,000.
Yes.
My hopes and dreams gonna get me to half a $250,000.
And I got to do my job. Can you leave? Can you give me some space? Anyway, I don't think it was just looking and seeing. I think she let Allie know that she sometimes come out there and look and see, but I don't think she drove all that way to just look and see. I think she know a little bit too well why Allie was wrapped up in that red blanket, because she too has been wrapped up in a red blanket or two. So anyway, Allie gets a new respect and connection with her mom knowing this. Her mom drives her back to Noah's, and as she's getting out of the car, she hands her the 365 letters that Noah had written Allie. And then when her mom hands her the letters, she says, I just want you to know everything so that you can make the right decision for you. Don't make the same mistakes I did. In my mind, she's telling Allie to be with Noah because she knows what it's like to be with someone who you don't love like that for real. And so Allie goes to tell Noah that Lon is there. They saw him at the hotel. Well, they saw his car at the hotel when they drove by. And so she's going to have to go talk to him. And so Noah is like, you're going to go back to him? And she's like, I'm engaged to him. I have to go talk to him. And so Noah pleads his case. He's like, do what's best for you. Don't think about everybody else's feelings. Do what's best for you. But I love you. I want to be with you and all these things. And we're supposed to be together and blah, blah, blah. But if you want to be with him and it's what you really want, I will support you in that. And I won't be upset. I lost you once. I'll lose you again. And I will survive. I want you to be happy. Same kind of energy as the first time he broke up with her. He wanted her to do what was best for her. And he would just bite the bullet. The ultimate expression of love is sacrifice. Again, he's willing to sacrifice himself to make sure she is happy. He won me with that. And so she gets down the road. She finally gets overcome with emotion and she reads some of his letters. And that's when she makes her decision. But we, the audience, don't know what the decision is because she goes back to the hotel and she sits down with James Marsden, who's playing Lon. Now, I don't know how long I could have been sitting in front of James Marsden thinking about Noah. I don't even think I would remember Noah existed if I was sitting across from Mr. Dimples. But anyway, that's beside the point. They're sitting there talking and Lon is basically like, I can either go shoot him, I can either go beat his ass, or I could just leave you here. But either way, I'm not going to end up with you. I'm not going to convince you to marry me. I want you to be happy. Oh my God. See, the way I would have said, let's elope right now. I'm a stupid woman for doing what I did. Let's elope right now. You are my man.
No, I be forgetting, baby. You gotta be reminding me. I'm sorry.
Would have got that beautiful head of hair and we would have headed up to the altar. Do you hear me? Noah would have been a witness. I would have folded right then. I would have been like, oh, boo, I'm sorry. I never would have ended up there. If you have James Marsden at home, why are you going anywhere else? That's beside the point. And so she's crying, but she says, I know what I should do. I know that I should be with you. And that's some interesting wording because we immediately cut to Noah, who's wrapped up in her blanket, the one she was wearing when she was bucket ass naked. He is now wrapped up in it and he is heartbroken in that bed. Oh my God. Ryan Gosling looks so sad in this bed. Oh, it broke my heart to see him like that. But he hears somebody pull up in the driveway. And essentially, when I first saw this, I said, oh, Lon was serious. He finna go whip that man's ass. This is turning into a whole different kind of movie. I don't remember this in the book. But it turned out it was Allie. And when she walks up, she has her suitcases. She's moving in. Like, this is moving real quick. 4 days ago, they hadn't seen each other in years. And now she's about to move in with him. She chose Noah. And so then we come back to present day. And at this point, it is late in the evening. And we have been getting cut scenes where we're keeping up with Duke and the woman that he's reading this story to. And so now they're at dinner. And when we cut back, the woman is no longer unfamiliar with Duke or asking questions or anything like that. She is now very familiar with him. And she's crying and she realizes Allie is her. Duke is Noah. And so he reads this story to her, the story of their love, whenever he wants to see her again or have her come back to him, because it's clear she has some form of dementia or Alzheimer's or something of that nature. And so when he reads this story to her, she essentially comes back even for a short while. And so they reunite again and they're so passionate and in love. But in the middle of this, she reverts back to her condition and she no longer recognizes him and he is crushed. Late in the night, and Noah, Duke, is walking to Allie's room, and one of the orderlies is like, you know, you're not supposed to be visiting at this time of night. You're not supposed to be out of your room. And she goes, but I have to go get my coffee. And I need you to stay here or go back to your room, but do not go anywhere while I go get my coffee. And it's going to take me about 20 minutes to go get my coffee. So please don't do anything in that 20 minutes while I get my coffee. And so he reads the hint. Now, I would have been back in my room like, damn, why I got to wait 20 minutes? Because you take a long time to get coffee. I wouldn't have caught the hint. I'm so bad at hints and innuendos. Just tell me outright. But anyway, she's covering her butt. And so he goes to Allie's room where she sleeps. He lays in the bed with Allie and they pass away holding hands peacefully together. And we can only assume that they're together. Now, there is a sequel to The Notebook, the actual book, and it's called The Wedding. And I read that book, and I have wished for so long that they would make that into a movie, and they have yet to do so. But that would make an excellent movie because their story actually does evolve into this beautiful life together where they have children and they do suffer losses. I think at one point Allie had a miscarriage, and then they eventually had a rainbow baby, and then they had more children, and he essentially planted this rose bush in the shape of a heart to signify their child that they lost, that she can see from her window. It's like a really beautiful story, and I wish they had made that into a movie as well. But that is the end of The Notebook. I would have picked Lon. I get Noah. He was her true love, but I do feel like you don't just get one true love in your life. Now, that's a me thing. I don't think people just have one soulmate. I think there are a lot of people in this world who can offer you an amazing connection, and each one can be just as strong as the next one or the last one, but it's where you invest your time and your energy and how much you have in common and you're willing to build on. But I do think you can build an amazing life with several people, and it's not just one or even two soulmates. I think you can see reflections of your soul in other people, and there's a lot of people that you can do that with. It's just where you invest your time and energy. And so for Lon to have been as devoted to Allie as he was, I would have absolutely picked him. Now, if they had made Lon like Allie's dad, kind of low-key, kind of indifferent to Allie, the way Allie's dad is to her mom, I could see her picking Noah, but then that wouldn't have made it competitive at all. In this situation, the way Lon dotes on Allie, the way he loves her, supports her, and always supports her, and he's really in love with her, and he's very faithful to her, it's really hard to see how she could have made a decision like that. So that's how you know, her being able to walk away from him, Noah must have just been her true love. Now, in reality, if I had a friend, let's say me and Allie are friends in 2020 of the 5, and my friend is going through what Allie is going through, I'm going to tell my friend, you probably need some time to process all the change that you've gone through. And I think this is over. And I think life is changing and you're looking for something familiar. And I think you had open-ended things with this man, and I don't think you processed the ending of that very well. I think you suppressed your feelings for him, but I don't think you processed them. I think you need to let this man go. And I think you need to move on. And I would say the same if I were friends with Noah. I would say, y'all need to let it go and you need to move on, especially if other people have entered the picture. But I also have a hard rule. If me and a person break up and either of us see somebody else, it's over for good. If you've moved on in any capacity, we'll never return back. You stay fresh for me or you're not for me at all. It was easy to see the sacrifices that Noah was willing to make for Allie. And again, we get to see that ultimate expression of love, and Noah sacrificed twice for Allie. But so did Lon. Lon came there and he basically said, I want to be with you, but I'm willing to lose you to make sure you get what you really want. Lon laid it out bare as well. It wasn't as grand as Noah's, and it wasn't as dramatic as Noah's because that's not Lon's style, but Lon absolutely said, I want to be with you, but I'm willing to deal with heartbreak if it means you're going to be happy. So her happiness was the ultimate for him as well. Allie really be turning these men out. I know that's right, girl. You got a good little roster. But anyway, she chooses Noah because that's who she wants. But she recognizes that she, based on like by society standards, Lon should have been her choice. And in that regard, I agree with Allie. Be with who you want to be with, because once you choose, it's gonna be real hard to change your mind down the road because you're dealing with real people and their lives. So at that point, I'm glad she did what was best for her because she's the only one who has to live with her choices. And at that time, after all this has been said and done, it never would have been right with Lon anyway. If Lon had never found out about Noah or any of that, I think they would have been able to be okay if she had picked him. But once you know somebody is willing to step out on you, once the trust is broken, or that your partner has deep feelings for somebody else, you'll never be able to look at them the same anyway. You won't be in the relationship you signed up to be in, which is a fully devoted partner. And Lon deserved a fully devoted partner because he himself was a fully devoted partner. So Allie made a good choice for the both of them, because I feel like even if he had taken her back and she had chosen to go back with him and they decided to move forward, I feel like he always would have side-eyed her. And also being a man of status, I feel like at some point that ego would have started getting on his nerves and he would have had to get his get back. Just me personally. And so, but Lon didn't come off like that, but he was a rich man. And in that time, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten some get back. But either way, he was a good guy and he deserved a woman who wanted to be with him without question. And he was able to go find that, and Allie was able to find that as well. And so while I don't agree with going back to people, Once you break up, just break up. It's billions of people in the world. Why are you doubling back to people? Once you're done, just be done. Apparently they were true love, child. So they got back together. Either way, I think the movie is fun. I think it's romantic. It's not supposed to really be realistic. It's supposed to be a fantasy. And I think people get wrapped up in the kind of the logistics of it. Like, oh, well, why didn't Noah just move on? Or if I were Allie, I would have chosen someone else, or I would have just left both of them, or blah, blah, blah. Also, Noah wrote Allie 365 letters every day of the year after they broke up. So clearly he had her address. So when she didn't respond, why didn't he just go visit her? And I asked that question because he did eventually go enlist in the army, and he did eventually go into town to get the plans approved to renovate his house with his dad. So he was clearly okay to travel all the way up to New York and everywhere else. Why didn't he just go visit her within that year or even after? He went and did everything else. He should have just visited her. Clearly, ambushing her family is not something he was opposed to. That was one plot hole I wish that they had covered. You don't know what you would have done, because have you had Ryan Gosling and James Marsden chasing you up the Eastern Seaboard? I don't think so. So until you have that, you don't know. This is supposed to be a fantasy. Now, I will say this is classic Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks has a formula. And all of his books, they're each individually very different. They're all unique, but they all have the same formula, because when you're picking up a Nicholas Sparks book, you know what you're picking up. You're about to get wrapped up in the fantasy and the romance. And The Notebook is the best Nicholas Sparks movie, the best movie made based on his books. I love The Notebook. I like The Choice as well. I like a number of movies that have been Nights in Rodanthe. I like a lot of movies that have been based on Nicholas Sparks books. But The Notebook is absolutely the ultimate and the best one. That's just my opinion. Y'all let me know, what's your favorite adaptation from a Nicholas Sparks book? I also have to say before we get out of here, one, the casting was great. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams went on to date for years after this. And that's funny because when they first met, when they were doing screen tests, they hated each other. They hated each other right out the gate. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ryan Gosling tried to get Rachel McAdams fired. I can't remember the story, but at some point, one of them went to the director and was like, I can't work with them because they did not get along. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because there is a very thin line between love and hate. So the fact that they went on to date after this and those scenes were as passionate as they were, I can see that. Anger is one of those things that translates really well on screen when you're looking to have passion. If two people are pissed at each other and then they're supposed to portray passion in a scene, they usually nail it because you're hot and heavy already, and it's just based on how you channel it. It's really easy to portray passion when you have that anger burning within. And so it makes sense that they had such passion, but it also makes sense why they fell in love. Sometimes the buttons that people push are simply things that they themselves also possess. And that's why it rubs us the wrong way. We don't like seeing things that we might be self-conscious or be struggling with in other people. And so we react to those things. So they were just simply reacting to themselves and one another. Soulmates. But he moved on and he's with Eva Mendes and they have a beautiful life and a beautiful family. And that's wonderful. Rachel McAdams is married and happy and doing all the things. So that's good for her. But for a short while, we had Noah and Allie in real life and they were a beautiful couple. Anyway, that's one of those little tidbits that I love. And then the styling in this movie is impeccable. The Notebook does not get enough praise for how well they styled these characters in this movie. The sets were beautiful, the props were beautiful, but the styling was excellent. And I'm going to be real. There's a scene when Lon is proposing to Allie and she's wearing a beautiful white gown or dress and she has her hair pinned up, very Marilyn Monroe-esque. And that scene is probably the best I've ever seen Rachel McAdams looks. That scene is absolutely beautiful. Everyone looks their best in that scene, but that scene is the best I've ever seen Rachel McAdams look. She was flawless in that scene. She looked absolutely amazing. Anyway, those are my thoughts on The Notebook. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you read the book? And did you read The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks, which is the sequel to The Notebook? Let me know your thoughts. And would you like to see that turn into a movie? I really would. Also, The Wedding takes place many, many years after The Notebook, and their children, Noah and Allie's children, are adults, and one of them is getting married, and she has asked for her mother, Allie's, help planning the wedding. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams are the perfect ages now to portray the characters, Allie and Noah, from The Wedding. They're now around those ages. They could absolutely do the sequel, and it would make sense for the stage of life they're both in. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to bring us another little romantic movie, I'm here for it. Anyway, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's all I have for y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's recap. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please feel free to share so that more people can find us, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.